Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Matt Graham here, and I have a very special guest, good buddy of mine. He's the owner of WRLiving.com. He's a realtor with Remax Solid Gold here in Kitchener-Waterloo. Jeff Sheppard's my guest. How you doing, Jeff?
Hi everybody. Hey Mac, thanks for having me here on your show.
How are things today?
You know what? It's summer, cooled down a little bit today. I'm putting pants on for the first time this summer. It's been a hot one since the start of July, so we're just going with the flow.
It has been a toasty summer. The weather has been hot. The real estate market, not.
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty in the real estate market out there right now. So it's just about balancing. It's very segmented on price point. There's a lot of confusion out there. It's not a great time for downsizing, fantastic time for upsizing, but then you add the uncertainty and we're kind of in a balanced market.
Well, we had in the newspaper just this morning that lowest housing start numbers since 2013.
That's builders. Builders are a whole different ball of wax with the confusion and the tariffs and the cost of materials. All these other things. It's all things that lead to what builders can and can't do. It's they need to sell the units, and if the buyers are uncertain about their own finances, it's a big step to take.
Well, that's it, right? Like, I keep looking at the market right now, and housing starts are just a barometer.
Yes.
Right? They tell me, okay, how healthy the market is. I think in previous years, we probably had some euphoria where people were just buying maybe too quickly. But now we're at a point where, there's fear in the market.
Yeah, I mean, there was one point down between Christmas and New Year's, I think it was 2022, where we had less than 60 houses, land, new builds, everything. That was our total inventory at that point in time. Now our inventory is just about 1,580 units in Kitchener-Waterloo, Wilmot, and Woolwich combined. That being said, a balanced market is about 1,500 to 1,800 houses. So we were in a seller's market for many, many years, and now we're finally at a time where it's a balanced market. So things are changing. The uncertainty of the tariffs, those kind of things, they all add to the factors of where we're sitting right now. But if we look just to last year, we're only up about 400 listings in that area over year to year.
I guess when I think about it as a consumer, I may have the money now. I may have saved up.
Right.
Let's say hypothetically I've saved up, I don't know, $200,000 for a down payment. I busted my ass and I saved $200,000 for a down payment. To sign on the dotted line, in particular on a new build, for something that's going to cost, let's say it's a single detached home, $1.2, $1.3 million. That's a significant risk I'm taking.
Well, I mean, first of all, to afford something that's $1.2, $1.3 million, you have to have a really good job and really good income to qualify for those mortgages, or you have to have family that's signing for you or something to get you to qualify. We live in an economy right now where you need 4 incomes to afford a household, whether that's renting out a unit, whether it's having a part-time job, whether your kids are working, whatever it is to get that income. Like, I go back and I look, you go back pre-95, we were in single income household. 95 to about 2005, 2000, whatever, 2 income. Then we moved to a 3 income. Now we're in a 4 income household. So to get to these numbers, you have to have an income source somewhere. And the uncertainty of employment, uncertainty of cost of things are definitely factors that are coming into play.
You also have to take into account, like, people, regardless of what anybody wants to say, people did look at real estate as an investment. It is a piece of property. For most people, it's the largest investment they make in their life.
Well, I would agree that a detached freehold home is still an excellent investment.
But here's the thing, Jeff. This is what I just didn't finish, was just, if I look at it as an investment and I'm buying at that 1 million plus, if I'm buying in that 1 million plus, the fear becomes, if markets drop by 10%, I've lost $120,000.
Yeah, there's risk in everything you do in life.
Agreed, there's risk. I mean, that I work in paper assets and paper investments, but they fluctuate more quickly. Real estate is a lot slower.
I mean,
and I can just, all I'm saying is I can understand the fear that a new buyer would have, because we saw instances just a year ago of people paying 1.1 million
Mhm.
in places like Oakville, 1.3 million for a place in Oakville. They sign on the dotted line with their builder. By the time their home closes, because it's finished building, it's now only worth 800,000, and they can't even barely get financing.
Agreed. There are a lot of people that are taking hits that have bought houses in the last 3 to 5 years, that their lifestyle has changed, and divorces, death, debt, those are the things that drive real estate and make things happen. I call those the 3 Ds. But the end of the day, is a risk in every single thing we do.
I get it. I guess what I'm seeing right now, and I love construction companies. I love home builders. I've had a lot of them on the show. We've talked about stuff. What I keep seeing, I see that homeowners that are looking to sell are taking a hit. They're not getting as much as they certainly thought they would. They're not getting as much as they would have in like 2023. They're certainly not getting as much there. Some people are getting burned. The people who are not getting burned at this point still are the home builders, the landowners, the developers. And what I mean what I mean by that is they've got deeper pockets. They've got more access to leverage.
Well,
cash.
If they're not going to generate a profit, they're not going to start a project.
As long as, but they're holding land too.
Yes, and all the land is tied up. Even if we get into commercial, like any business, I know some businesses that are looking. For example, the Waterloo Region Food Bank. They're looking to upsize to a bigger facility, find a bigger facility, because they're at their max thing. Because we volunteered this spring there, and I got a little bit of details while I was in there, but they're looking to expand, find something bigger, but all the land is taken. So the only opportunity is basically lease, and they don't want to do a commercial lease. You want to buy and own and hold the property. So that's hindering some of our businesses from growth and change, is the fact that all the land is all tied up with these developers.
And they can still hold on right now. They can wait this out. They're now landowners and developers. A lot of them have carrying costs.
Yes,
and it is getting tighter for them. But it doesn't seem as though any of them have been willing to take a serious haircut on anything just yet.
There's still so much potential in our region moving forward with the growth that we see coming, even with immigration potentially slashed by the federal government. Anything is possible.
Certainly doesn't appear that way by actual numbers.
This is why the quotes go in the air, as we say. But our population is going to continue to increase. And as long as we have world-class education facilities, we have employment, we have proximity to Toronto, our water quality is good. Just think of all the natural disasters that are happening around the world, and the temperature changes. Canada is a great place to be. Southern Ontario, we have fresh water, we have a healthcare system, we have all of these great things. And if they're great things, other people are going to want it. So you look at our area, the potential for growth and the land and these artificial borders that are drawn by governments and politicians that are around cities saying we can build here, we can't build here. This is part of our taxation. This is part of their taxation. They're very limiting on the growth factors. And,
this is it. I mean, we have politicians in the paper today, being quoted in the paper saying this is an abject failure, this Build Back Better or Build Ontario Now. Catherine Fife's quoted as saying it's an abject failure, calling for more government intervention. And all I can think is we're in this mess predominantly due to government intervention. And so her solution to government intervention is more government intervention.
Yeah. And from my experience, the more they put their hands on things, the more things become difficult and harder. And that goal of reaching it becomes further away.
Well, that's it. It's like, we have a problem. We have so many policies. So we're going to create a policy to create less policies. Government should work harder. I believe that. But they should work harder at getting out of the way.
I mean, there's lots of bureaucracy and lots of layers in our country that, in my opinion, should be eliminated in some factors, because it's all personal attacks on each other instead of actually accomplishing goals.
Well, it's more than that. What I think is what I see happening is the Ontario government in particular and the Ford government recognized that there was administrative bloat going on across the province. Yes, lots of government intervention creating spaces where we could build and where we couldn't build. And they said, let's eliminate some of these barriers. Let's eliminate some red tape. Let's eliminate some bureaucracy. Well, the Ford government had an interest in that because they want more homes now because they know immigration's going through the roof. But what's the motivation of a bureaucrat?
keep their job.
They want to keep their job.
Yeah.
There's no incentive for them.
No. All politics is find ways to get in office and keep your job without causing a huge ruckus that takes things out of control. Unless you're in the U.S., then causing a ruckus is the purpose.
Right now, it seems like that. It seems like everybody agrees that the system is broken, but there's a huge disagreement about how to fix it. And Ford was like, we're going to cut red tape, we're going to cut jobs, we're going to build back better. The bureaucracy had a huge pushback. They're like, you didn't consult us on this. This is my job. This is my living. You're going to take my work away? I don't think so. So then they found ways to slow down. And it's very hard to prove that a bureaucracy is slowing down.
I mean,
that an administrative staff, but that's what they've done. They're like, screw you, Ford. I'll wait you out. I can wait you out, and I can wait until the next politician gets in, and I'll be here and I'll be safe.
Well, we live in a country where they tax us a lot. They take a lot of taxes. We know this is thing. So they keep taxing us more and say they're adding more service, adding more things. Well, they're also taking away our abilities to make choice and do things for ourselves. Yeah. Because it's what they want to do. It's about control at the end of the day. And that fly is on you again. I know it's been bothering you all day.
It's been a tough day. It's been a tough fly day. It's okay. We're gonna ignore it. But if you see us swatting, there's a fly in the picture. Sorry, what were you saying? Now you totally.
Well, no, we're just saying, like, things are changing. Like, I mean, they make it so difficult to live with the amount that they tax you on. You have to earn, like, say your earning bracket is over a certain level in this country, you're taxed at 53%. Then you look at, what do I pay in HST?
That's just your income tax.
That's your income tax. Then you pay, what am I paying on HMC? What am I paying for gas tax? What am I paying for property tax? And you add all these things up, and as soon as you get to a certain point in this country, every dollar you earn, they take about 80 cents of that dollar. So what's the point of trying to get further ahead at some point?
Well, this is it, right? I mean, you've got, like you said, we've got income tax, which is high enough. We're extremely taxed on our income, but everywhere you turn. So I go and I fill up my gas. Well, why is gas $1.30 a liter right now when we just eliminated the carbon tax? And that's because there's 14 other taxes that are still on it that we haven't removed.
Well, I mean, there's more to it. Like we're opening a can of worms as we progress this conversation. But you look into this, you say, for example, hospitals and different kinds. Yes, we have a healthcare system. And yes, the government said they'll build the hospitals, but we have to, raise money to get the equipment to go in and all those other kind of things. I'm like, we pay so many taxes in this country. Why do we now have to, out of our generosity, do these things to build up? I'm at the point now where charities, they just don't stop asking once you donate once because they know you're a source of income for them.
Oh, yeah.
And subsidies are all over the place. There's no such thing as affordable housing anymore. There's only subsidized housing. It's difficult because of the taxation.
The way you make housing truly affordable is you increase supply. Economics, everybody knows, even if you've never taken an economics course, it's all supply and demand. Well, and right now, we don't have enough supply.
Well, let's look at the building rules. They can't build certain types of homes anymore. This is where the value of the homes and the marketing of homes, the detached homes. If you want 1,000 square foot bungalow, which was traditionally what most people have, or a story and a half wartime home that they have, they can't build those style of homes anymore. Those style of homes are now stackable apartments. They're condos because they have to have at least 50 people per square hectare of new development, or they aim for higher than that in Waterloo region. So the style of homes, if you have a detached lot, the smallest house you're going to get is a 1,700 square foot plus. So now your detached home prices are going up because the style of home's bigger. The entry level ones are not there. There's nothing for people to downsize into because they're not building the right type of home for what people want. They still want a yard, but they don't want as much space. They still want their own front door without going up an elevator. They still want all of these things, but we have no way to provide it with the way population and taxation, because they have to collect a certain amount of taxes for, sewer, water, snow plow, garbage removal. If they don't have a certain amount of tax base within the community to cover that kind of stuff, well, we can't build the properties, which is like contradicting. And then they don't allow trailer parks, right? Most places don't allow new season recreational trailer parks because it doesn't fit into what communities want to see.
Yeah, communities don't really.
So the prefab and the direction, that could be a direction moving forward, but there's so many political hurdles in the way.
Jeff McIntyre was in here last week. You know Jeff.
Yeah.
And him and I were debating this, and he thinks that AI can solve all this. It's no longer your opinion and my opinion. He thinks AI can actually tell us exactly what people want and what they want.
AI has become a very powerful tool compared to the toy it was when it first started.
Definitely.
And there's so many different things that it saves on time. It's more creative than we can be sometimes.
I understand it, but I guess I'm still not uncertain that a computer program can tell me better than what people want. I don't think that I need a program to tell me that people want a single detached home. That is the ultimate goal for 90% of Canadians.
Okay. So we were brought up in a world where we all dreamed of the house with a white picket fence and all that other kind of stuff. That was like a 70s, 80s, 90s goal.
Owning your own patch of dirt. You just want your own patch of dirt.
100%. But then we have other cultures and immigrations that come to our country that's used to living in the multi-family home, multi-different kinds of things and stuff.
That's not why they came to Canada.
It's not why, but they're more used to it.
They didn't come here because they want. Nobody left India. Or
I'm not saying which country or where they're coming from.
Or
go to Europe. Everything that's built is a multi-family home because of space in their cities and all that other kind of stuff. But that's because the cities
were built like this to prevent. It was all about protection. This was all about defense. But we live in the biggest expanse of land in the world.
I totally agree, but infrastructure is what holds us back, right? And a lot of our country is rock, which is hard to build on rock as well too.
There's still tons of land to build on.
There's tons of space. But the point I was getting at, the thing is, they're more used to living in a lifestyle like that, so the houses don't seem as unattainable for some of people that are using in that, because they will put multiple families in a home and stuff to be able to afford a home, whereas us who are brought up on the idea of the single family home, the white back, all that stuff, we have more privacy in North America than they're used to in other areas of the world.
But what I'm telling you though is
very difficult.
I understand they might not be used to. They may be used to that other type of living. I'm telling you, they didn't come to Canada to live like that.
It's ultimately not what people want.
Everybody that comes to this country, all our new immigration, they all desire to own a home. If you don't believe me, go look at Huron Village.
No, I agree.
Go down there for a little visit. It's one of the newest suburbs in the whole city, and I bet you it's 70% new Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to own homes, and they don't want old homes like mine.
No, they don't want the century homes.
They want brand new, beautiful, central air.
Well, the old homes, then you bring up the insurance, the finance, the other details, the hurdles you have to jump through in order to own those homes in the first place, with the extra inspections, the extra, potential things that are in those older homes. So yeah, there's other wild cards that come into play there too.
Well, I have heard that argument before. I don't necessarily buy it. And what I mean by that is, if you own a home, you got problems. You got issues that you have to deal with. Whether you buy brand spanking new or you buy a 100-year-old house.
Well, I always break this to people. Your home is your hobby. Right? Because if you're renting somewhere, you're not investing your money. You're going out and doing things. You're all over. Your lifestyle is a lifestyle where you're traveling a lot. I see that, condos, renting, it makes sense. Not everybody needs to buy a house at the end of the day, but when you do own a house, your house is your hobby, and you need to actually put like 1% to 2% of the value of the home into the home each year to maintain market value. Otherwise, you fall behind market value because you're just not keeping up with the maintenance that's required in home ownership.
I guess what I'm saying though is, okay, so I have a century home.
Yes.
So in my century home, there's always a project. I'm like, okay, the bathroom, it probably needs to be tiled again. This tile has officially gotten old. And then when I finish that, I'm like, oh, I need to update the concrete work because it's, was done in 1962. It's sunk now.
Yeah.
I got to fix the sidewalk. There's always a project like that. And that's just part of the deal when you own a home. But if I bought a brand spanking new home today from, so let's say, Cook Homes or Frere Homes or anybody, okay? They hand me the keys. I don't have a driveway yet.
Nope.
I don't have a fence
They're
yet.
bare bone.
I don't have a finished basement yet.
Everything you want done is an upsell.
Yeah, and all that stuff you've got to do after you've moved in. So you've already got 5 projects when you just buy that
Yep.
house.
Yeah. Owning a home is not for the light of heart, right? Owning a home is where your lifestyle leads. And this is where I get into the point of lifestyle change, right? This is where buying and moving from home and dwelling, like moving is not fun. We all know that moving is not fun.
No, I don't know anybody that likes moving.
Right. This is why we get to a point in life where we hire somebody. When we're young, we can afford to break a few things and have some friends help, and a case of beer or whatever, pizza gets that done. But as you get older, you hire people, and it's not cheap. Like if you called around to some movers lately, they're not cheap to hire movers to get your work done.
Movers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. That was the big thing I was talking to McIntyre about, is just like skilled trade. Mm-hmm. Skilled trades will be the nouveau riche for the next 20 years in this, because there's such a limited supply.
Well, it's not the sexy job that doctors or lawyers or finance and all that other stuff.
But it's paying just as well.
It's paying as well or more in some cases, but because you can't find, they can charge more money because there's not as many people available. I'm going to catch this fly. But, it's Conestoga College just finished building, or they're still working on building their new skilled trade campus there off the 401. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we get more enrollment and brings more skilled trade, because skilled trade is what builds our community. Without skilled trade, our community is just going to wither away.
I had a visitor at my Rotary Club, and he's from Nigeria. Okay, this guy came from Nigeria. He was trying to settle here in Canada, and he's a Rotarian from Nigeria. So he comes to my club, to our club for a meeting, and I asked him, I said, "You need to lift home or wherever you're living?" He's like, "Yeah, man, that'd be great." So I give him a ride home, and he's talking to me. He's like, "Dude, I'm struggling here in Canada to find work." I'm like, "Well, what are your skills?" He's like, "Oh, I'm trained as a bookkeeper. I have some accounting experience. That's what I was doing in Nigeria." And he's like, "I'm calling everywhere and I can't get any work." And I'm like, "Yeah, we got lots of bookkeepers in this country. That's not a problem." I said, "If you could work, if you got any electrical skills, if you got any carpentry skills, there's lots of work." And you should have
seen. We say there's lots of work, but there's not necessarily a lot of work, because a lot of things are pending because they're waiting for the developers and stuff to get where they are.
Individual contractors, there's lots of work. Right?
Yes, individual, yes. But if they work through the builders and stuff, I know a couple apprentice electricians and stuff like that. They're like, "Well, I'm part of my union, but yet I can't work because I can't hire anywhere else or do anything else because I'm part of the union." And I'm like, it's just skilled trades that are just sitting there. I'm like, it baffles my mind because of politics sometimes.
But this guy, though, I'm telling you, this guy, just to finish, was just stupid fly. This guy, I'm telling you, he was baffled when I was like, "Oh yeah, electricians in this country, plumbers, they make good money. They make like $80 an hour." And he was like, "What?" Because there's a larger pool in Nigeria of people in the skilled trades, because they have a larger population in general. And so the idea that skilled trades made more than white collar jobs just blew his mind. And I'm like, yeah, this is where we've fallen into in North America, where we've convinced everybody to go and get a Bachelor of Arts degree from a university.
This whole conversation we're having is all first world problems, because $4,000 is about the average net worth of 50% of the population of the world.
Yeah.
So most people in the world have less than $4,000 in equity, savings, all that other kind of stuff. So, our whole conversation, we're looking at issues and their problems because we are in this country and these are our things that we have. We should still be fortunate from where we are.
I still think we live in a fantastic country. I don't know where you got your numbers from. I'm going to trust you on them. I'm not going to fact
I watched a few podcasts and stuff last week, and that's a fresh number in my head. So that's why I was like, "Oh, that's a low number," but it's like $4,200 or something like that.
We still live in a blessed environment where we're able to sit here, have a conversation. We've got electricity. We've got central air conditioning. We've already both had meals today, probably. We're doing pretty well. I want to make it clear.
I've been cutting back on those meals
lately. But you're looking good.
I'm working really hard.
Who's your trainer, by the way?
I get trained through Elite Fitness.
Where's that?
Melissa at Elite on Victoria Street in Kitchener. Every Tuesday. I started that in March. I'm down like 50 pounds since January. And most of it's diet and most of it's changed. But you see, as much as we say business is business and personal health is personal health, everything's tied. Because when you're not happy with yourself, sometimes you don't go and promote yourself along with business. And my business is a little off this year because the last couple of years I've been heavier than where I want. So I'm like, okay, time to work on myself. If I want to be present for my clients and my business moving forward, I got to be present and client for myself at the same time.
And yeah, the truth of the matter is you cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet.
It's true. It's true.
I have learned that, sadly. I know there's a lot of young guys out there under 30 that might be watching this thinking.
They call it the Guyet, right? I went to the to the gym so I can go to the bar tonight. But that doesn't work at the end of the day. You gotta eat smarter and get rid of those deep fried foods and just switch things up a little bit. And
what diet are you on?
I don't really have
a calorie counter.
No, I don't calorie count. I'm a lazy eater. That was my biggest issue and stuff like that. I know we've gone from politics to housing. Now we're going to weight loss, but this is life as we go. But yeah, just basically I fast from 6 p.m. at night till 10 in the morning. And
no potato chips on the couch.
No, I do way more food prep. I took bread out of my diet. I only drink water and cranberry juice for the most part, and don't drink my calories, and losing on average 10 pounds a month. And I had a goal of 80 pounds by the end of September, and now I'm looking at probably 100 by the end of the year is the goal. So
100 pounds, holy shit. I just lost 10 pounds. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm trying hard to find clothes that still fit. I look like a saggy ragdoll when I put some of the clothes that I've had over the last couple of years on.
And what are you doing at Elite Fitness? Is it you just doing weights, or?
You know what? For some people, hire a trainer for different reasons, right? Some they need it because they don't know what to do. For me, I need it for accountability. I need to make the appointment. If I make the appointment, I will show up because I keep my word, open, honest. That's the way it is. But if it's just going to the gym and just showing off, I'll find so many excuses not to go. So it makes me go and have somebody to answer to. It's the accountability. But what she does is she gets me to do the little things that I wouldn't do on my own, the free weights, the extra stretches, working on core areas and things. Because I'll go to the gym, you'll do cardio and you'll lift a few weights, use a few machines, but you don't get creative with those other things. So having a trainer for accountability reasons and to work on the little things you may not do on your own are very important.
Well, a couple of years ago, I started kickboxing down the street here over at Return of the Dragon. I still love it. I'll be going there at lunch hour today to do that's my cardio is kickboxing. It's probably the most exhilarating cardio. Yeah. It's so much better than walking on a treadmill. I don't know how anybody can do that.
Well, I mean, last week I got crazy and I was actually on the treadmill. And a little story for the gym. I was at just my regular gym, not Elite, but at my regular gym, just on the treadmill. And I'm like, I really don't want to do it today. The guy was supposed to come to the gym with me and he canceled. So I don't want to go, but I'll still go anyway. So I got there and I'm like, I'm going to do 20 minutes on the treadmill. I get on the treadmill and I get to 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, I can do 2 miles. So that just puts it over 30 minutes. I'll keep going. Then I got there and I'm going to do some lateral steps and do some side to side on there, slow it down a bit. And then this older lady gets on beside me and we get in a really great conversation. And then an immigrant gets on the, I don't know what his background was, but he gets on the treadmill, runs the treadmill with steel toe boots on. So that spurred a whole conversation. So then we ended up talking on the treadmill for like an hour. I get to my hour setting and I'm like, well, I've been here for an hour. I can do a little more. I reset. I ended up doing 2 hours and 10 minutes on the treadmill. I've never done that long on a treadmill before.
You must have just walking speed.
It wasn't quite walking. It was 3.5 miles an hour. So it was a little aggressive walking, but it wasn't running. I don't run. It's not good for the joints and stuff.
Hard on the knees still.
Incline matters, but you figure your ways of doing that kind of stuff. But I mean, we had to tell the trainers of the staff, right, you're going to damage equipment running with steel toe boots on and all that other kind of stuff. That's
kind of a heavy foot.
So that's not really good for the equipment, but it did spawn a conversation, which, made a new friend at the gym and having the conversation, meeting somebody new, it just extended my cardio session for the day. But I've never done that long on a treadmill before.
There is nothing you won't do to talk to somebody, Jeff. I mean, that's what I know about you.
Conversation matters, and being social is very important.
And now you're losing weight. Now you're feeling better. You're getting out.
Yeah, I started to get back out there. I cut myself off from a lot of community things the last couple of years, mostly because of confidence level, because I let myself go a little bit. So now it's time to get back out there and be part of the community again.
And what are you seeing? What are you seeing in our community these days? What's good? What's bad?
Wow, that's a deep, hard conversation to answer. But I mean, it's more of the same for most of the stuff when it comes to bureaucracy, different kinds of things. Lots of events going on there. And in fact, most of my marketing through real estate is done through event marketing rather than being out there and on my name on a bus or advertising. I haven't become a content creator like a lot of realtors have become and stuff like that. But, you get out there and it's really hard to get people to re-engage since they disengaged during COVID. It's not the same group that was out there. People are starting to come back and things are starting to get more normal, but people haven't re-engaged the way they were before still, even now. Yeah. And so it's really tough to get people to come out and do things because, again, we have to earn so much more money to pay for our bills, so we're always busy. So our free time is very limited.
Mm-hmm. I know I've been to a couple events, but even I trimmed back myself.
Yeah.
I used to go to chamber events a lot. I always thought the Chamber of Commerce in this region has done a great job.
Oh, we have fantastic Chamber of Commerce, and
they work hard to promote the business community and create events where business owners can meet.
I've been working with the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce since 2008, and I was on the committee for the Business After 5 for the longest period of time. I just let that go about 3 years ago when I was becoming uncomfortable with where I was and stuff like that, so I stepped back a little bit. But Chamber has been great. It's been fantastic. It's a great way to see what's happening in the community, stay up to date what's happening, and it's great for those small businesses that want to engage with other businesses for sure.
A few years back, though, it used to be like Chamber was putting on a lot of successful events, and then Communitech exploded, and they were doing a ton of events. I don't remember last time I went to a Communitech event in the region. I don't know if they're even hosting them anymore. They became very insular. I don't think anybody in the tech industry goes to work more than 2 days a week. In office.
Okay,
I'm not saying
that's a big ball to drop because even at the pub where I run line dancing every Thursday, there's some guys that are part of the tech industry. They bring their computers in and they still work while having a pint at the pub. So they do keep working. So I'm not going by these 2 days
Don't
away.
name those names.
No. But they still work even after hours because they're developing tech and they're going. And
I'm not saying they're not working.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. I mean, they're not attending an office. There's so much more at-home work.
But even as a realtor, I hardly go to the office. I do everything at home now.
Yeah, but realtors have always worked from home. That's not a new thing.
It's true, but you get isolated. If you don't get out and be part of the community, your business will drop because if you're not out doing something, meeting people, 80% of your business is networking and getting to know people. If you're not out there getting to know business and people, you're not going to last long as a realtor.
It's tricky. You got to keep your face out there for sure. And you also have to provide great service, which I think most realtors do, and especially people like yourself. Mm-hmm. So, but that only goes so far because you can only provide so much service to the people you know.
90% of the realtors do 6% of the. 90% of the business is done by 6% of the realtors.
Wow.
That's 90%. Realtors that do at least 25 ends per year is 6% of the realtors within our community because there's so many realtors out there and there's so much politics in real estate. There's so many different boards, so many different things that are happening. So as much as it's very streamlined and smooth for most buyers and consumers out there, there's a lot for us to deal with changes, rules, and stuff like that. Just doesn't get talked about.
What do you mean?
Well, I can't get too much into everything, but
you brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have local board, which is Kitchener-Waterloo and Cambridge amalgamated into one board. Then now you had Kitchener-Waterloo, Hamilton, Mississauga, and Simcoe amalgamated into another board. Then you have other boards that have amalgamated, and they have different names and different kinds of things. But there's a couple different systems that upload onto the MLS system, and they operate differently. And if you want to input information, you have to be part of certain boards, and they're collecting more fees from us. And it's all
so that's
over.
all what it is it's more fees?
It's more fees and more things.
It's more layers of bureaucracy.
It's politics pushing because one system is better than the other system, but the other system is more popular than the better system. So if I'm looking at properties, I can't just set up one search for a client anymore. Now I have to set up two separate searches to make sure I don't miss any properties that are listed by out-of-town agents and all of that other kind of stuff. So there's a little bit more details, and it's not as streamlined as it used to be. And they're working on things. There's politics involved in all of this. And it just gets a little frustrating sometimes.
We don't see that on our end.
And you don't see any of that on your end.
We see none of it on our end. Okay.
Yes. It's politics in everything you do in this world. There's always...
Well, there's personalities. There's always going to be personalities.
Yes, and there's always ways they're trying to collect more income. There's taxes, there's utilities, there's fees. You know, it never ends. Every time you turn around, somebody else is trying to get another $500 out of your pocket.
And then they say, "What's the big deal? It's only $500."
Yeah.
What? It's $500 a year.
But it's huge.
I agree. No, it's huge. Everywhere. It's
you look at you look at the younger generation where they're sitting, and their optimism of buying a house is much lower. Their ways of saving for the future is much lower. They're working so hard that the socialize and even relationships are struggling because you're so busy working. You don't have time to build the relationship. You don't have time for family time. You don't have time for any of that because you're working so hard just to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And I think government kind of wants us all working so hard that we can't see what they're actually doing.
That's an interesting theory.
right? I mean, they're trying to keep us busy like beavers, because if you're busy like beaver, you don't have time to address and deal with problems and grow from there.
At a federal level, this is the first time, and I can't even remember how long, probably since the 90s, where we have a prime minister now who's calling for cuts. Mm-hmm. He's saying to every department, you need to cut 10 to 15% a year for the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I welcome that, considering that like from 2019 to 2025, we added something like 45,000 more jobs. There's now 420,000 federal
I've been frustrated with all that stuff for so long. In my mind,
I'm like, cutting there, but I'm not. Here's what, just to finish my point. Sorry. We're seeing that at the federal level. Ford keeps talking about cuts. He's cutting taxes, but there hasn't been any cuts to bureaucracy. When I look at the municipal level, when I look at the Region of Waterloo Council, and I look at Kitchener City Council and Cambridge City Council, et cetera, I've never heard anyone propose a cut.
We live in a world of romanticism. We want it, we get it.
What do you mean we want it, we get it?
This is how everything's been marketed to us since the 1950s. If you want it, you get it. It's instant gratification. The hard work to get somewhere has been lost in our society somewhere.
Personal responsibility.
Exactly. Same thing.
And it has been lost. And so people say, I want this. And the government should be taking care of this. No, we should be pulling back. You know, I work a lot with different companies, large financial institutions, and they're constantly doing what they call a reorg. A reorg is a fancy way of saying, we've gotten too bloated. We're going to pull 500 to 1,000 jobs off the table, and we're going to restructure our company. I've never heard a municipal government in the last decade or more say, you know what, maybe we're a little bloated. Maybe we should be cutting staff. Maybe we should be reorganizing the way we're doing things. Because I can tell you, I've seen a 30% increase in my property tax bill in the last 8 years. A 30%. I don't feel like my services have improved whatsoever. I don't feel like I'm suddenly living in a cleaner city or a safer city. In fact, I might argue that we're a little bit less cleaner and a little bit less safer. But my bills keep going up, and nobody seems to be willing to say it. They'll just say, listen, we don't have a choice. We need to increase taxes. We got to increase by another 10% this year.
I don't have the words to get into that whole conversation because it becomes a mumbled mess. I struggle as you start talking about that because of the cost of things going up, the cost of labor going up, the cost of all that going up. So we're getting less for our money. I 100% agree. But what I haven't heard when it comes to provincial government, federal government, any of that kind of stuff is when our debt is going to be paid off. Instead, they're like, it'll be this many years before we balance our budgets. I don't care about balance. If I look at my own bank account, my own statements, I'm like, okay, well, when am I out of debt and I'm in a position where I can do something in life? Not when am I going to be, this is the 1 year that we're not going in debt further. I don't want to hear that. I want to know when it's paid off. And we're never going to hear that in this world.
Well, it certainly doesn't appear that way. And in order to keep up, if you're looking at the federal level, in order to keep up with competing nations, there's just this sentiment that you need to go into debt further. If they're going into debt, we got to go into debt. And we have been behind on spending in terms of military, so they're going to dump a ton of money into there.
But do we have the people that are willing to be part of the military? That's the bigger question. The younger generation, who's getting into that, who's not getting into that? That
can be fixed like that. If you look at the example of the United States, if people feel proud, regardless of your politics, if you feel proud in your nation, the United States the U.S. military couldn't recruit members. They were considering conscription at one point. But now, since Trump got in, conservative young men have gone in droves to the military. They can't keep up with all the new recruits they're getting.
In the States, yes.
Yeah, well, because those people have something that they believe in. Mm-hmm. We're at a point now where we don't even know what we stand for in this country. And we've taken most of our heroes and denigrated them, right? No, John A. Macdonald. They just uncovered the statue of John A. Macdonald. They covered it up with a wooden box for a decade because they were afraid of people. Rather than protecting it and standing up for the creator of our nation, they thought, well, we don't want to have any more problems with vandalism.
Yeah.
So what does that do to your civic
That's a whole
pride?
Conversation we're just going to leave on the side.
Okay, you don't want to go there?
Because that can get a little touchy based as you get into different things.
I love that stuff.
I know you love that stuff, but I mean, we could talk for hours. We get into that kind of stuff.
We can spin and spin.
And spin that in any different way. There's so many different opinions and stuff like that. Our country is more welcoming than most other countries, and we allow most religious and other things to be celebrated throughout the world and different things and stuff like that. But sometimes we forget about where we were and where we came from as a nation to build our nation in the first place. And that's where we get into those troubles.
You have to remember your history. You have to remember where you came from. And if we forget that, we endanger ourselves.
Mhm.
We truly, truly endanger ourselves. And that's why I'm so fervent about Canadian history. I think we have a really amazing, cool history. But we need to remember it and then defend it. So we are going to increase our military spending. We'll see what happens there. I would love to see debt reduction myself.
It's not going to happen.
But it doesn't appear as though any politician at the federal or provincial level in this area has any sort of interest, or municipally. All we keep hearing
they're trying to keep their jobs. That's what it boils down to at the end. If you start taking things away from people, they're not going to vote for you again. That's the problem.
The problem is when you look at a bureaucratic structure in any government level, but let's use the municipal one, what incentive is there for them to save money?
There's nothing really.
Like, what is their incentive? Like, if you worked in a government office here for Region of Waterloo, and you came up to your supervisor and said, I got a way we can save 20%. Would you be rewarded for that, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't want to step on other people's toes and bring that opinion to the top of the table if I was in that position, because I'm not there to stir a pot. I'm there to keep my job so I get a pension at the end of the day. That's where I would be.
So there is no incentive to save money. I have yet to meet a government worker and talk to one-on-one who couldn't point out inefficiencies in their offices.
Oh, yeah. Like, you could even go to crews in the city that's working and mention something. So like, oh, you could do that, but don't even mention that because it's not going to get done anyways.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, everybody that works for government can tell you about inefficiencies, and yet none of them seem to be able to change them.
Well, because businesses, if they know that a government's paying for something, their invoices are higher than a regular general public too. These things,
the procurement,
hearsays, that kind of stuff, right?
And you're talking about procurement.
There's wasted money in a lot of places because you're not chasing after the lowest dollar. You're chasing after the same people, that have had the handshakes and that kind of stuff.
I think what it is, it's really easy to give people stuff. It's good. We're gonna give more water parks in our area. We're gonna give more services.
But there's a cost to maintain everything.
What's hard to do is to take away.
Mm-hmm.
What's really hard to do is to take away. And it's hard to make cuts. And I just wish there was more people with more political will that would be willing to try to make cuts. And I'm going to give one example that I usually am very critical of. I want to give credit to Waterloo City Council.
Okay.
Waterloo City Council made a decision a couple of weeks ago. It got a little bit of news, but not much. Because I've been critical of their spending many times, but they purchased a piece of land over budget from what they had. They bought the old church, St. Columba, off in the Lexington area, right? That's St. Columba Anglican Church.
Yes.
And that's what it was. And then they were going to turn that into affordable housing over the next decade. I didn't like the idea of going into further debt to buy.
Can you rephrase that? It's not affordable housing. It's subsidized housing.
Subsidized housing.
There's no such thing as affordable housing with the land values being where they are.
I just think it's all a joke.
Yeah.
Subsidized housing. Bottom line, I didn't think it was a municipal responsibility. That's my feeling. I think it's
provincial responsibility.
I think it's a provincial responsibility. Nonetheless, that was what I was against. But beyond that, there was an idea. The arts community had come up to them and asked them if they could use the church while they developed this land. And a couple of them thought, well, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And so they were on board with this idea until they realized they were going to be dumped. In order to make this, to meet the standards that they had to meet, they were going to have to dump over $500,000 of money into this property to get it up to the standards that they thought was necessary. And then they were going to demolish the building in the long run. And so I praise Diane Freeman and I praise Dorothy McCabe for going back and saying, wait a minute, this is a poor use of our money. Mm-hmm. It upset the arts community greatly. They were pissed because they had given something, but then they had to make the tough decision of taking it back. Yeah. And, excuse me, Diane Freeman, she has run for the New Democrats, okay? She is not what I would call a conservative person. I don't think we're overly politically aligned on a lot of things, but I respected the fact that there was some fiscal restraint, some fiscal responsibility. I just wish we saw more examples of that and say, hey, listen, I know that's what you want. I know you'd like that, but we're in a cash crunch. Mm-hmm. We have been overtaxing our citizens. We're going to pull back. And I don't feel like we're seeing enough of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of spending for sure, and costs go up and that kind of stuff. But I don't see those same cuts that you're saying. I mean, it's everybody wants something, but nobody wants to lose something.
Well, this is it. Nobody wants to lose something, but that's why it's going to take a very tough person to make tough choices at government to be willing to say no. No, we're not going to spend this. No, we're not going to do this anymore. You know, I used to make fun of John Gazzola, honestly, when I would call it, because he was the Kitchener City Councilor, for those who don't know. And I called John Dr. No, because he turned down everything that the city proposed while he sat on council. But I didn't realize how much I would miss him, because he's retired now and he's not participating. And now it feels like there's nobody saying no, especially at the regional, hardly ever at the regional
they're all
level.
trying to keep their jobs.
But they're not getting my vote, because all I'm seeing is more and more spending. And I'm in a dirtier city that's less safer to live in.
It's true. As population increases, as different things happen, cities get busier, there's more traffic on the roads, there's more whatever, the costs of everything are going up completely, for sure. Like, you can go back to the amount of money spent on bike lanes and change everything. Well, I ride a bike sometimes and go down this path. It's super fast, it's super great, and it's awesome for ride a bike.
Because they're empty, of course it's super fast.
They've done so much traffic calming. Like, I was driving the other day and I was looking at how much money the cities and region have spent on putting speed bumps and shrinking the roads together just to bring all these things together. I'm like, what else could have that money been used for the community?
Never mind what else could it have been used for. It could have been in my pocket still.
It's true.
You know what's the only thing you barely ever find in a bike lane here in Waterloo region? A bicycle. But they're empty.
But when you do use it, I mean, you can get around this city pretty quick in a bike.
Because you got a wide open empty road with no speed limit. Go for it.
Yeah.
Have at it. This is my point. Like, the last time they did a study on this, over 98.2% of the population still drives a car to work every day.
Yeah, you can't take people's transportation to get to work. This is why real estate values, like, circle right back to real estate values, is proximity to where you work drives up values of homes, right? Like, nobody's going to commute, well, some people might, but commute 2 hours to work every day just to have an affordable house, because you're going to blow the money on fuel in your car, and who knows what happens as we're changing over to this whole electric car world that they're forcing upon us and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, if you're going to buy, like, even a lawnmower for your lawn, you might as well buy it the next year before you can't buy gas-powered lawnmowers anymore.
Oh, I'm never letting go of my gas-powered lawnmower.
Well, I mean, they're
I got a mechanic. I'm gonna keep that thing running.
They're ruling those things out. So, like, you can only find electrical ones moving forward and chargeable ones, and it's all for the environment. And I get saving the environment and doing whatever, but the little things that we're doing compared to the pollution that's going on in some of the other parts of the world, we're not going to solve the problems ourselves. But they found a way to collect more taxes from us based on our empathy and where we're sitting.
Yes, it's the guilt. We're going to guilt you into being a better environmental citizen.
Yep. And they put a cost on things, right? So as you put a cost on things, you have a way to generate income. Oh, we can generate income, and it doesn't sound like a tax. Like, you go through it and you look at, okay, our carbon tax, what was that? That was a tariff on us. Now, the tariff's the big word brought up by Trump and where we're sitting in the world, but we were already tariffing ourselves based on our use of environmental things and different kinds of things. It wasn't solving the problem, and it was giving more people options of that kind of thing, but it's another tax they were charging us, but using different fancy words to cover it.
Not arguing that fact whatsoever.
But needless to say, circling back and everything like that, we can go right back to the housing, we can go right back to municipal, we can go right back to taxes, we can go back to the struggle, the affordability, all of these things combined. It's all because we want, and we don't want to take cuts. And if you go to the housing market, the lower end of the market hasn't dropped because there's tons of people looking. I can tell you, I have so many buyers that would like to buy a detached home under $550,000. They don't exist. And if they do, they're in rough shape and they need a ton of work. So you have to figure that out. So, we live in a world where you need 4 incomes to support a house, but people can't seem to live together or get along. So you end up with single income households, and you can't afford as much anymore. So we need those entry level. We need to think, like, even if we go back to what we've done for the homeless, less fortunate out by the ambulance station by the landfill site out that
in Waterloo,
way, right? You know, those type of developments, they help that section, but see how far away it is. Like it doesn't solve some of the problems and stuff where it is.
That's a completely separate issue. I could go forever on that.
That gets further, but
I mean, no, but listen,
housing styles, at least they allow like the smaller sized houses. I'm not saying go that small per se, but it allows opportunity where you could build something like that that's a little bit better.
You know what?
And make it work.
The big question that I think we have to ask is, who do we want to be like? Who should we emulate? And I'm going to look at our neighbors to the south again, and I'm going to ask, I said, do you want to be like Austin, or do you want to be like San Francisco? And myself personally, I'm going to choose Austin. Austin is the fastest growing city in the United States. And simultaneously, what's hard to believe is the average rents in Austin are going down because they have some of the lowest regulation. They're able to get buildings built faster than just about anywhere. So they have an ample supply of rental housing and new homes. They don't have a lot of homes are being snapped up quickly. At the same time, more people are leaving San Francisco than any other city in the United States. And yet the cost continues to rise.
Yes.
So who do I want to be like? Do I want to be like Austin, or do I want to be like San Francisco?
I know, but we also need to solve the tax situation to get to those levels and the affordability levels. You know, we look at, it used to be your home was the most expensive thing that you had. It's not. Taxes is the most biggest thing in a person's income and portfolio is the amount of taxes we pay in Canada now.
Well, again, Texas has some of the lowest taxes in the United States.
But they have the supplement because of the oil and all that other kind of stuff that they have. That
we have oil in this nation. We have natural gas in this nation.
But we're still separated.
We have copper. We have nickel. We have minerals up the...
I get it, but we're separated province to province to province still, where we need to unify that faster than anything.
I'm just like, there's a reason why the Ford government is promoting this Ring of Fire. All our oil has been tapped out.
Yeah.
We don't have any oil left in this area, even though this is where it was first discovered in Canada, right?
Yeah, you drive down Sarnia, Chatham Way, and you still see the little oil things in the fields. Yeah, there's still a few here and there,
but it's mostly tapped out. However, we've got natural resources. We have minerals that are, like, if we are going to electrify things more, we need all these minerals, and they're all up there. And that's our own provincial resource that we could be drawing from. We can be creating a sovereign wealth fund from. Something like, $1 out of every 100 goes to a sovereign wealth fund. That'll cover all of that would make us one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Yeah, that and the Northern Pass for the sea route, add these up. There's so much potential for Canada moving forward and stuff. If we just invest the money in the right places and the right things. Like, we're natural resource based at the end of the day. And if we keep going this carbon route and all of these other things, we're stopping ourselves from getting to where we need to be as a country. I have said this multiple times on this show. I'll say it again. If we really, if carbon is our biggest problem, if that's the world's biggest problem, then we should be pumping more oil and natural gas out of this country than anywhere. And we should be shipping it all over the world, because 1.9 billion, you talked about wealth earlier, 1.9 billion people on this planet still burn coal, manure, like dung, or wood to feed their families, to cook and heat. And there's no one that would argue that those aren't the worst pollutants. If carbon's the problem, those are the worst pollutants. Yes. So why don't we find a way to get liquid natural gas from our shores all over the world at a relatively affordable price? We could use that money then to develop nuclear technologies here, which will get us even cleaner air. Well, I don't know whether nuclear is the right way to go at the end of the day. I'm a big nuclear I don't know where this is, because there's other technologies that are still being developed out there that may benefit it in the road, so further down the road than some of the things that we have now. But they're still yet to be discovered. Like, there's the government all in on these electric cars and battery building facilities, all this other kind of stuff. And look what Toyota is doing over there in Asia. And they have these hydrogen cars and everything like that. So, who knows? The technology is changing so fast, but we're trying to buy into things that are going to create jobs. No one would argue. No one argues that nuclear produces the cleanest air. What's the cleanest air? What country has the cleanest air in the world?
What country has the cleanest air in the world?
You'll never guess.
This is a tough one.
France. I can't always. It's France.
What?
France has the cleanest air.
The wind's blowing off the ocean.
France,
and you're not bringing pollutants from other countries
70% of all the energy produced in France is nuclear.
Okay.
They didn't offboard their nuclear facilities. And there is no carbon impact to producing. There is nuclear waste, which is an issue, but it's small. They said you could fit the world's nuclear waste into one football stadium. And that's since like post World War II to today, you could fit all the nuclear waste that's ever been produced into one football stadium. It just gets a bad rap. I'm telling you, it's the cleanest technology. And there's nobody that would argue that liquid natural gas is not much cleaner than burning coal and dung.
No.
So why don't we find a way to get more liquid natural gas to these other countries? It would make us one of the wealthiest nations 100%. In the world.
We have the potential to do all of these things. It's just the money hasn't been invested in the right place, and the politics of keeping jobs and not wanting pipelines and not wanting this and that. The environmental factor always comes into play.
Well, that's it. But if there's my environmental argument. My environmental argument is if you really care about becoming a carbon neutral planet, then this country, which has a very small carbon footprint.
I agree with all of those things, except for there's those certain people that's not in my backyard people. Right.
Oh,
and that's where they're the loudest, they're the squeakiest wheel. The squeakiest wheel always gets the grease, right?
Well, people need to be able to stand up for what they believe in. Listen, we're ranting, we're raving. Is there something today that we didn't talk about that you think that we should be talking about in this region?
You know what? There's so many things that's happening. I think the conversation's beyond our region. But if we're talking about something we haven't talked about, go Jays.
They're in first place. We didn't even have the Blue Jays conversation.
The Jays are in first place.
Okay,
I'm a baseball fan. Yes, we live in a hockey country, but I prefer baseball over hockey.
Okay.
Whether that drives anybody crazy or not, but baseball is my go-to.
And you know that I'm huge Blue Jays fan as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to the game on Friday.
Oh, nice.
That's why we're shooting.
Nice. I got three games lined up in August and September to go down and check out the Jays, and it's interesting to what they're going to do with the trade deadline. They just had the All-Star game. Let's talk about that All-Star game. It's the first All-Star game that's ended in a swing-off with a home run derby at the end of the All-Star game.
I actually didn't see any of it, so you have to tell me what happened.
So basically, the National League was up. Right, and the American League came back and tied the game. So at the end of 9 innings, because the players are all from other teams, they don't have extra pitchers. They don't have things to go for extra innings and everything. So this is the first year they've decided they're going to end it in a home run derby. So they picked 3 batters each, and each batter got 3 swings.
Who's pitching to them?
Their own team or whatever. So they have three swings, and it's just like a shootout in hockey, right?
Okay.
So instead of getting one shot in that, you get three swings with each batter.
So who'd they put up?
So the National League won.
Okay, but who'd they put up?
Didn't even go to the last. I don't have the names in front of me, but Schwarber or whatever for the National League, he was the second round. He got 3 swings, 3 home runs. The first round was 2 home runs, the National League, 1 American. And then the second round, American League, I don't think got any home runs, but the National League got 3 home runs. So they didn't even have to do the third round. And it was a really interesting way.
Yeah, who was hitting for the American League?
Now you're going to put.
They didn't put Guerrero up?
No, Guerrero wasn't, and no Jays were in there. But the Jays did represent the All-Star game. Good.
Yeah.
Both Guerrero and Kirk got a hit, and Kirk got an RBI in there as well too. So
I love the Mighty Mouse.
I mean, things are rolling, and we'll see what the trade deadline brings. This is the first time the Jays have been in this position since 2015, the year that they brought in David Price and Troy Tulowitzki and all those other things. So
the thing I find really interesting this year with the Jays that I haven't seen is we became so accustomed to being a long ball team. We were a home run team. Jose Bautista, Encarnacion. It was just expected. I'm just trying to think of some names. Carlos Delgado before that.
Yeah, you can go through all the different years and stuff like that.
But we were a homer team.
But we're a small ball team now.
And the weirdest part about that.
If you look at the run differential right now between the Jays of runs scored, runs again, it's so low compared to all the other top teams in the American League.
And they're playing, like you said.
And we're 15 games over 500.
They're stealing bases. I don't remember the last time I've watched the Jays steal bases like this. And the irony is Shapiro changed the whole stadium, and he brought the fences in. It's actually a smaller stadium than it once was, and we're hitting less home runs.
But it's a treat to go see a game down there now.
Oh, I like the viewing angles.
It's amazing.
But that's not my point. My point is you bring the fences in, you assume, oh, we're designing this so we can hit more home runs. And it's been the absolute
they didn't
opposite.
bring it in that much, just a little bit. But
just a little bit makes a huge difference.
It's true, but I mean, at the end of the day,
if you don't believe me, look at right field in Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park.
Yeah, we don't have the home run pop that we used to have. No. Right? I remember, what was it? The one year we were back and we had 7 players that had at least 20 home runs or something like that. We don't have that sort of thing right now. They need a little bit more pop. They had one bad signing in the off season with San Ontario or whatever his name is.
Well, is he injured?
He's injured, and his injury is more serious than they think. So he's out for a while right now. But we'll see whether we can get some more pop. But the young guys are playing out of their shoes. Oh, yeah. They're phenomenal this year.
Isn't it? This is one of those years where I watch pretty regularly,
and they still don't have even Varsho or any of those guys back in the lineup yet.
I watch pretty regularly, and I'm literally like, who's that? There's so many players that are brand new.
The young players are so excited. I'll even relate this to hockey, right?
Okay.
I don't enjoy watching NHL hockey games, but I love watching the Kitchener Rangers because they're playing for something, right? Once they got their salary and then the big show, I don't see the same entertainment value as the kids that are fighting for a position and to grow. And I prefer the OHL rather than the NHL at the end of the day. Just because of what the players are playing for at the end of the day.
I think part of what's happened with baseball is they've increased the playoffs. And so
it's true. There's more opportunity to get in with all
There's a greater opportunity now to make the playoffs than there ever was before. So a lot of times by here at the All-Star break, you literally had 90% of your teams in the entire league were out of it. They're like, we don't even have a chance.
Yeah, there's not even competitive baseball by the time you get to mid-August.
Yeah, so if you don't even have a chance by mid-August, what is the point of playing into October? Like, what kind of an effort are you going to get out of guys? And it's just not the same. Yeah. 162 games is a long season as it is.
It is. But, the latest thing I heard in the last week, and my fingers are crossed for this, because it was just the All-Star game down there this year. But there's a chance in the next 4 years that Toronto could get the All-Star game coming back up here because of all the renovations they've done and because of how long it's been since. The wild card that comes into play is how long it takes Oakland, I should say the Athletics to build in Vegas. And when their stadium's ready, that could push our All-Star time away.
I've just never been a huge All-Star weekend guy for any sport. The Four Nations Cup.
Baseball's the one. Yeah. I mean,
the home run derby, it does not play well on TV. I'm sorry, it is bad TV.
But in person, it's great.
Oh, if you're in person, it would. If you're sitting in the outfield, it would be exciting.
Yeah.
But it is terrible television. I binge watched Top Chef on Netflix instead of watching the home run derby. That's how little I care.
Shame.
But like Four Nations Cup, what they did with the Four Nations Cup in the NHL, you got to admit that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, much better than what they had done in the past, for sure.
That was better than regular season hockey.
Yeah.
It was very exciting. So hopefully, everybody's trying to figure out what to do with these all-star formats in every league. But whether they got the all-star game or not, I really don't care. It's exciting to see the Jays playing some exciting baseball, small ball, stealing bases.
Fingers crossed they can hold on, but Boston is pushing. They were further back, but they're on a 10-game winning streak themselves. They're the hottest team in baseball. The Jays were a hottest team. Then they went 1 for 3 or 3 for 4.
Well, they lost the last one against the Sox, and then they lost 2 out of 3 in Sacramento against the
Oakland. Sacramento.
They're playing.
I still call them Oakland. It's the yellow and green team that doesn't change. It's no different than the Rogers Center is never going to not be known as the Skydome.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Skydome forever.
But when I looked at that series, and I watched it pretty closely, it was really hot in Sacramento. It was like 34, 35 at 7 o'clock at night. And they were just like, we're in first place. Did the Yankees win? Okay, they lost. All right, we're just going to.
Well, now you've reached weather. So we've touched on every topic so far. Now you're bringing weather into it. Actually, wait, we started with weather, didn't we? So that's a round tool on how we went from wearing shorts to baseball in the heat and play like that. So
yeah, it was just when it's too hot, especially if you're somebody like a catcher or something like, you're not going to get the best effort. And so, they rested Guerrero in that last game. They rested Springer. Springer's been a huge surprise this year, really playing well.
He's come back at his age, and what he's putting out, it hasn't been done at his age.
The Grand Slam on Canada Day, you got to admit that
game was epic. epic.
awesome.
I wish I was at that game.
Yeah, I've been on Canada Day.
I was there last year on Canada Day, but I wasn't there this year.
It's probably my favorite day at the stadium. If I had to pick one game a year to go to, I would go to Canada Day. It's a great atmosphere, great place to celebrate Canada. And usually they get a win.
Well, last year I scored some free tickets because Remax sponsors the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm with Remax there, and they have their little sign in the bullpen and stuff like that. So it was a great opportunity to be there on behalf of the brand and have a good game at the same time.
Well, that's good. Well, let's hope we have a good second half of the season. Starts on Friday. I'll be there for the game against the Giants.
I'll see whether you're a good luck charm or not.
All right, we'll find out. But Jeff, thanks so much for coming in. It's been a blast.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
See you soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Again, it's King and Weber Podcast. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers.